You don't, especially let's talk financial stuff. It's this prince from Nigeria said, you want a million, I mean, you got all this nonsense going on there. People are more skeptical than ever of things. And you can diffuse that skepticism with that interpersonal, that connection, that face-to-face stuff.
Yeah, and you touched exactly what I see a lot. And people say, oh, you're real. I'm not talking to a machine. You can answer a phone call. It's like, it's not doing something crazy, but it's just doing what I would believe that I wanted, how I wanted to do with something that matters for me. Because let's be realistic here.
Are you tired of working more for less profits in your home service business? What if I could show you $100,000 in hidden annual profits in your business in less than 3 minutes? Would you be interested? And not only show you where, but how to create that 100K in 6 months or less without additional advertising or marketing spend guaranteed. Just go to sharpenthespearcoaching.com to see how truly simple it is. That's sharpenthespearcoaching.com. Do it now. And we are back on STS Sharpen the Spear podcast with another incredible guest. I've got Priscila Cosentino with us. So it's going to be another great conversation because that tends to be all we ever have here is great conversations. But with that being said, Priscila, no one knows Priscila better than Priscila. So give us some backstory, bring us up to speed, and I want to get into the conversation.
Thank you for having me, Richard. It's a pleasure to join you guys here. My story, it's just a little simple. Tiny girl, back from Brazil, was born there, lost my mom really early, and then was thankfully taken care by my grandparents. But that led me to need to work early and go and have some fails. And one of those was really to be heartful, lost over $50,000 right in the beginning of my career. And that put me setbacks. Wasn't planning for that, but that was really what fired me up to learn more about finances, to learn more about mindset, and completely transform my life, putting me on that as my life purpose and helping others, because I don't want others to pass through, unfortunately, what I did in my beginning years.
You lost 50,000, was it due to a business or just poor financial understanding? Did you make some mistakes? How would that look like?
Great question. A poor financial understanding and trusting the wrong people. I was able in the beginning, and I knew it, that I needed to save money. So I just put money together right in the beginning. I did a great sale. I was like, oh, I'm putting this money towards my retirement. And looking for doing the right choice, I felt someone that was like, oh, no, this is great. This is a great investment. It's going to be great for your retirement. But I have something there. Was too good to be true. But young, without knowledge, without education, I completely get myself like, oh, of course, like I can do that, like double my money in a second. And that's how I hurt myself, because I put my money in a place that I was never able to get back, not even a cent.
Wow. Yeah, that's a motivator, let's tell you, because I've lost lots of money. Okay, because I'm air quoting business guy. Okay, so I did a lot of dumb things. You make bad decisions, you make poor investments, whether that's in equipment or people or, the next thing to do with your business. I've done that as well. And I probably didn't learn as quickly as you did. It seems like you're pretty quick. I lost a lot more than that over time, but I weathered the storms, and now I'm like you. I'm very focused on that. Right. So it's what I always tell people. I said, whatever you don't pay attention to tends to go away. Money being one of those.
Especially
you don't
money.
Right. You just trust someone. They're going to do it for you because you don't want to take the time to learn or understand. And we see what happens. Right.
Yeah, especially money. And I think don't get me wrong, I didn't learn as quickly, but what I got there from this experience was I needed to educate myself. I made a ton of mistakes, right? Our life, like yourself, peaks and valleys. We go, we learn, we try things. And I think that's super important here. But one of the turnkey for me was I need to educate myself. And that's something that I feel that's super important when I'm talking with anyone is let's get ourselves educated. Because when you understand, if I knew it, I would have done the right choice saying, this doesn't sound good. It's something wrong here. I might need to research a little bit more. And I'm assuming like you, a lot of things when you learn, you're like, huh, when it happen next time, you're already like more attentive. You know the right decision to take it.
You know, yeah, let me ask you, Priscilla, because what I've learned too on a lot of things, not just money, but marketing and other aspects of business where you can't know everything in every detail and every level, right? So this is important because I tell people what you need is a general understanding. Begin that, right? You have an awareness of these things so you can it can pass the sniff test, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like this, it doesn't sound good. Okay. Like you know enough to be like, okay, no, that's not how this works at all. So you can get rid of the major, finaglers, if you will, right? And start to understand, like you said, maybe dive a little bit deeper. But what's been your experience in kind of that realm? Like when we talk about you want to be educated on this stuff, are there different levels like you take people through? You learned how deep does someone need to go? Stuff like that to really get that understanding.
I think you did a great point here. You don't need to go be the specialist, but you need to understand enough that you have a good overview and you can sniff what's important, what doesn't make sense. Because something that might make sense for my goals and my objectives, for you, Richard, might not do any better. Or for anyone that's watching us here online, that might be something that doesn't even make sense for them. They don't even like it. Why they are going to do that? So it needs to be education enough. And then the second part is finding the right people, the right mentors, the right advisors, the right coaches to be with you through this journey, because then they are specialists. They are going to be the ones helping you, guide you through this journey. But when you have an understanding, even if they say something, you are going to say, makes sense, but does that fit to me,
Right.
to my
Yeah,
principles,
that's a
to
good
my
point.
values?
Right. That's a really good point, Priscilla. I think what people don't understand first, anytime you're talking about money, okay, that's a hard topic. Okay. There's different types of people with money. There's avoiders and there's this and that, and there's investors. People have different mentalities and approaches. But again, understanding the general overview, and I think you're spot on with your specific needs. So these are the goals and the outcomes that we really need set for ourselves. We may not know how to get there, right? But we know what we want for an outcome. Right. So like you said, whether we're going for a business coach, a financial expert, a leadership, whatever, like you have to go to someone who has the in-depth understanding. Right. And then you begin the process. So again, using your limited knowledge, though you got the overview, you can, and then I think there's another step is the alignment with the personalities. Right. Like I think we have to connect. What I've found lots with clients, there's clients I can't work with. I might be able to help them, but personality wise, we're not going to work. It's just going to be friction, or it's going to be this. They don't respond properly. Someone else will do a great job with them. It's not that they're uncoachable. They're just not able to be coached by me.
And you touch, Richard, on something super important. The match needs to be in both sides. You just said the great thing. I had great mentors, and I have people that I use as a reference, but they would not be able to be my mentors. Because if that match doesn't happen, if that connection doesn't happen, both needs to talk the same language. And a ton of times that doesn't happen. That's even the reason that I delve so deep in emotional intelligence, because it's understanding that background to see, can I be a good fit? Helping everyone. Yes, my process, your process, it's something that's helpful, but is that the right fit for me to be able to help you in my fullest? And a ton of times the answer might be no.
Yeah, you're right. Because here's the thing, and whether you want to think of it this way or not, like you and I, we're a service business. We serve others. We're not transactional. It's not here. I made this, pay me this, I'll give you this, right? That's not what we do. We're a service business. So like it or not, a relationship builds. Okay. It's a business relationship, whatever. You'll get some friendships. There's a great saying I learned a while back. They go, friends never become clients, but clients become friends. Okay. And it just he basically says it all, right? You kind of get that, right? So we understand when you're talking finances, or me, I'm dealing with your business, I'm turning it around, I'm making it more profitable or whatever. Like, how do you will become connected to that person because you're serving them at a very high level and you help fulfill a portion of their dreams, okay, whether that's financially, retirement, investment, business, operations, freedom from the business, things like that. So you have to really put yourself in that position of, okay, this is serious and this is why not everyone's going to work. I have a very small friend circle. Like my standing joke with my kids, I tell them if all my friends were on one hand and I lost 3 fingers, I'd still have all my friends. Okay, because I got like 2. Okay, now I have acquaintances, I have people, I have outer circles and everything else. But when you get those people who are in those kind of high confidant levels, areas where again, you, me, we're talking about the finances of the business. We're talking about numbers. We're talking about what they want to do and fulfilling, what's the use of this? Should they be doing this? Should they not be doing this? Right? That's a good investment for your, we'll call it, investor DNA. Right? This might work well with you. Like someone might say, you should do real estate. You go, I don't want to do real estate. I have no interest in real estate. And then they want to force you to do real estate. Well, I'm not going to pay attention to that. Right? And anything you don't pay attention to evaporates. It goes away. Okay. Don't pay attention to your friends. They'll go away. Don't pay attention to your money. They'll go away. Don't pay attention to your spouse. They'll go away. Right. So if you're not interested in it, you're not going to pay attention to it. So it's really important. I know we're spending a little bit of time on this, but I really believe that connection with whoever your coach, mentor, whoever that is one of the most critical aspects of your ability to improve rapidly, and maximize that relationship to get what you want out of it.
Richard, I exactly what you said is not wasting time. It's actually saying that's the most important piece when we are talking about helping others and being helped, is understanding that if I cannot create that relationship, if I cannot create that trust, it's going to be really hurtful. And sometimes my perspective of something, I cannot impose on you, because having different perspectives is great to build trust and build relationships and be able to see something. And that's why education goes back here, is when we are being able to be truthful with each other and being really able to have, like you said, this DNA of your goal, of where you want to go, then education can come and say, okay, you never heard about, maybe you said real estate, is that a good piece? I'm going to come here and say, that's what happens, that's the education piece. And maybe the person might say, no, I can see why, makes sense. And maybe this person would say, I don't believe, it's not my principle. And that's okay too. But needs to have that
Right, yeah,
fit.
exactly. There's a lot of ways to make money with your money, And here's an interesting thing. I'll say in the real estate thing. So I'm thinking real estate, I have a house and be calling me at midnight to come fix the toilet, and who knows what, right? I'm a real estate investor. I have rental properties. Well, then I get into it. Okay. I started just being exposed to different things. And I'm like, oh, there's like a million ways to do real estate. There's ways where you don't, and all of a sudden you go, oh, I kind of like that way. Well, I can do it that way. If I can do it that way, I'll get into that. So I mean, we're very limited in our exposure oftentimes to these opportunities. We don't understand the depth of them. And when it went back around to the education point, that's the whole idea. Like, if you're just going to say it's not me without actually looking at the opportunity, you'll never know that there's 19 other ways to work in this industry, make money, and one you might love. Right? And it can be very, very prosperous for you. So I really like that aspect. So I always try to remind myself, because I can be pretty narrow-minded at times. My younger me was very narrow-minded, right? Whatever I thought was right, guaranteed. I could not be wrong. And often I was. But that's who I was, not who I am. So tell us a little bit more on this education process and what you specifically do.
So first of all, is creating the education with the analysis of your case. So like you said, understanding your scenario that you are right now, where do you want to go? So having your DNA and understanding your objectives, and with education, helping you understand that there is more than one way of accomplish the same thing that you want, and talking about those and understanding what's their risk perspective about things, how they feel about things, what's their emotions behind that, creating the right strategy to fulfill and achieve your financial goals. I think that's the most important part, but we need to understand and allow ourselves to build that so specifically. And if that's not something that's important for you, you might not want to deal with, or like you said, maybe not one type of real estate, but there is others that can fulfill what I want. Maybe one type of investment versus the other one. And all of those pieces together, but allowing myself to understand what I want to do, creating the true analysis and creating the right path with education allows me to open up my mind. Richard, don't get me wrong, but I 100% believe exactly what you said. My old version, yes, was like try new things, but was super narrow-minded. And seeing now how we can open up and build new things is just super important. So I think that's the process. Understanding is not only selling a product, but creating a process together so we can have the right people surrounding us. We can have the right places that can help us fulfill our objectives, and creating the right knowledge to really be able to accomplish everything that we want, because we are smart.
Yeah, right. Yeah, and you're exactly right. I think what people don't understand is that it's a multi-layered process. Okay. I used to like one and done. Give me one thing, let me get it finished. This should work. Okay. But again, with age comes wisdom, with exposure, time in business. I've been in business 35 years and doing different stuff and coaching multiple businesses. And you start to really see the ability to apply so many different layers. The education process is kind of never ending. Not kind of, it is, right? I was with a client this morning talking about the same thing. Like, we have to be open to what's next. I don't need to be the early adopter, but I have to see what's coming, right? It's just like, hey, look, we got AI everywhere. Were you thinking about this 5 years ago? No, you weren't. Now, even now, you're an early adopter if you start today, even though it's been around for 5, 6, 7 years. But we look at like, how do I apply this to my business? This is just an example. You know, everyone thinks maybe it'll take over the world someday, but right now we're going to use it for good. Okay, so how do I apply that into my business to make me more efficient, to serve my customers better and everything else? It's a great tool to use, but you have to be open-minded, you know, to do this. And let me give you one really funny example. So I had a roofing contracting business also, and I was with a potential client. I'm closing a deal, and he handed me an estimate from another roofer, okay? Okay, we're talking, this was how long ago? 4 years ago, maybe 5 years ago. It was literally typed with a typewriter. I'm talking ribbon typewriter, you know, electric typewriter. Like, you could tell, I'm like, this guy's still using a typewriter. Like, it's 2020 or something. I'm like, he's still using a typewriter to do his things. Okay. So you can say he's not on the cutting edge of much. So it's just, but there's people out there that are still doing business and doing that stuff. But it's just, I just thought that was interesting. Doesn't mean he's a local guy. He does his thing. He probably has his ceiling. This is what he wants to do. But I always liked it just as the example that, I don't know, you're really not you're really not educating yourself, you know, in the way of like, how can I be more efficient or do things better and really serve others better? Right. So even with what you do, there's a level of service that you and I both have to offer in our different offerings that can't be antiquated. Right. I mean, who's going to talk to us if like, here, let me get what's that noise? Oh, that's me on the typewriter. I'm taking notes, you know, and you're hearing the click and the clacking and all that stuff. I don't know why I'm going down this road, Priscilla, but I'm just thinking like, it's just interesting when you think about from the education standpoint, how to get exposed on this stuff, because there is new things, just things to make it work. But what we want with our money, especially, is for it to work for us at its highest level. Right. And that looks different for everyone.
Yeah. And that's, I think, the most important part, I agree with you, Richard, is like AI is going to have and add some layers to how the money will work. Can AI help? Yes. Can AI be a useful tool? And the answer is can be a useful tool, can be the only one answer for it. And then I'm going to step back and say, no, I don't believe so, because everything else that we are talking here, that you're mentioning, is like what you do. You're taking care of your client. You're talking to him. You're understanding him. And right now, and I don't know even if we will get to there, but if we do, is still missing that understanding about people. And it's another person talking to you. Those small nuances that even the person might not know, right now a computer cannot figure out.
Right. Yeah, you're right. I remember in 1999, okay, you got kind of the whole tech thing happening, right? The bubble. So I'm in a restaurant talking to a friend of mine. He owns a restaurant and talking, well, you know what they say, the stores, these malls, they're all going to be gone. 5 years, no one's going to ever go to the store. Everything can be bought online. Okay, that was 25 years ago. Guess what hasn't happened? Okay, we're still going to the stores. People still have these things. Yeah, there's more online. I think it was just a couple of years ago, only 7% of all consumer purchases were done online. Think about that. You think everyone buys everything online. Now, it's a little different now with the rise of Amazon and other things like that, but really was that point where everyone thought literally in 5 years, like there's no more stores. You're sitting in your home ordering a sweater. And it's just not the case, right? It didn't come to fruition. And that's what we need to remember about tools like AI. And I think you said it best, Priscilla, it's a tool. All these things are tools. The human being's never going to be replaced. Okay. Whether it's durable trades, like you're a plumber and you got to do those kind of things, to the people having these interactions. Okay, they can do a lot of things with metaverse, and they're going to do this and put a chip in your brain and do all this stuff. But the human connection is something that is an undeniable thing, and it can be mimicked, but it can't be, like truly replicated.
We still look for those, even with all the technology, even with metaverse, even what we are looking is to create simulations of human interactions. So it's going to be a point that's still a machine and it's not going to have those perceptions. And that's what we miss. Maybe we don't need to do an analysis because AI can help us. But that's why I said it's a tool. Like I can use that as a tool, but I still need a person. I can improve my business with it as one thing to help me, like you mentioned with your client. Can I use AI to improve with my client? And I do that. I use AI to improve with my client. I use technology. You said 25 years ago. When would we think that we could be here doing a recording online? You would watch on YouTube a video or listen to a podcast over your phone, driving your car. That was not a thought. Now we are in the scenario, we can improve and get that better, but we need both of us here talking and creating that to be able to have this conversation. So it's a delicate scenario because I know that things have been changing faster than 25 years ago. Yes, maybe you remember that your phone was to do only one thing, to call someone. Now, I think that's the thing that I do the least is call someone over my phone. I probably do 300 things more than really call.
Yep, that's right. That's right. I try to remind people, Priscilla, it was 40 cents a minute back in the day. When I had the brick phone, the cell phone, it was 40 cents a minute. You talk about a phone bill. Okay, if you think you're paying $50 a month or something now, like our phone bills are like $700 a month for the cell phone bill, because your chat would be, it was like people don't remember, and I'm glad they don't have to, but like, yeah, the technology of it. Also, one other thing I was thinking about, Priscilla, is there's an emotional equation, especially when you're talking finance, investment, money, things like that. People, they don't only make logical decisions, right? There's an emotional component to this that goes with it. And I think that need for that other human being to walk through that, to hear it, you know what I mean, to help them with that. Like there has to be an empathy, right? And that kind of thing. It's a relation, back to the relational thing. It's a relational thing that, again, it can be mimicked. It can be, it's going to get better and everything else, but it really is that final, like that trust that know, like, and trust factor is still going to be there, I think, in this. And that's why that need is still there.
Richard, you touch a point that I am a true believer about it, is that, first of all, when we go for studies, when we delve deep, and I'm not going to go all education fees here, but just few facts, right? Even though we rational think things, while our final decisions are still emotion. So it's based on our emotions. So even though I might know that I need to save money for my retirement, if my emotions at that point say that I need to get myself a big ice cream that's over cost, and I will do it. Just like a fun example here, right? But I will do it. So if I don't understand, and I don't think technology is yet to the point that they can perceive that those nuances, because emotion are small nuances that might be just in your tone of voice, that you might be rationally telling me, I know that for my retirement, I need to save that amount of money. I have a client that she was clear. We were talking and she was clear. I know how much I want for my retirement. But her actions, because was completely opposite, because she at that point was not seeing that her emotions were not being able to do it. Like, rational and emotional are two sides that you need to understand to work together, and I don't think technology is there yet. Will that be one day?
Right.
I still don't know, so maybe in a couple years, but
Right.
as right now, it's
And
not.
yeah, and it's just like kind of the art of sales itself. Sales has to combine all that stuff. It's looking in people's eyes. We were talking yesterday. I was on a call with someone, and I said, about getting business. I said, everyone today, and here's kind of the flip. Everyone today wants to hide behind their screen. They want to send emails and think people are going to try to get them to be interested in their product. You're gonna connect with someone on LinkedIn, and as soon as you hit the check mark, you get a pitch. Hey, we do this. You need our service. I was like, I don't even know you. I just hit a check mark so we could be connected. And now you're pitching me right away, right? Everyone's doing that. So now, in my view, if I want to win, I go knock on someone's door. I show up. I actually talk to them. Like, I'm a human being, and that's a game changer. Like, because people are almost shocked. Okay, that there's another human being that wants to talk to them, because we get so isolated thinking that's going to do all our work. And I'm telling you, it's just like if you send someone a fax. Send them a fax, which no one sends faxes. They're actually going to read it. Okay, whether it comes on their computer or whatever, people still have the technology, but sometimes we have to jump back a little bit, use a technique that no one's using anymore. They used to use as the regular, but they let all this technology replace it all. They don't realize that, and this just goes back to the human connection. You go back and get that face to face, and you shake their hand and you talk to them. There's an instant level of trust right there, right? Because you don't know who's sending you that email. You don't, especially let's talk financial stuff. It's this prince from Nigeria saying, you want a million, you got all this nonsense going on there. People are more skeptical than ever of things, and you can diffuse that skepticism with that interpersonal, that connection, that face-to-face stuff.
Yeah, and you touch exactly what I see a lot, and people say, "Oh, you're real. I'm not talking to a machine. You can answer a phone call." It's like, I'm not. It's not doing something crazy, but it's just doing what I would believe that I wanted, how I wanted to do with something that matters for me. Because let's be realistic here, we need money. Money is not our main goal, but for us to live nowadays on this earth, we need money. So money is another tool that can help you do a lot of other things and experience a lot of other stuff, create time with family, being able to enjoy your house, being able to enjoy relaxing moments, a trip. So money is a tool that's necessary. So it's important. And when you go ahead and just say, oh, just a machine, you have a phone call. Like you mentioned, like send a fax, do a phone call, meet in person. A lot of my clients say, okay, I cannot meet in person every time with you, but can we go ahead and have an in-person meeting at least once a year? And the answer is, of course, you're more than welcome to come to my office. And that gives them the feeling like someone cares.
Yeah, well, they want to verify you're still human. That's what they
Yeah.
want to do. So once a year, they got to come do the pinch test to make sure you're really okay. You're a real person, you know. So yeah, I love it. It's interesting where our conversation has gone, Priscilla, because money's one thing, business, like I said, both those things, but the whole focus has really become that kind of that human connection and how we do this, you know. And I think I love it for my listeners as business owners, as people working to grow their thing. They need to understand this element because I think again, we didn't plan any of this, right? This is you and I get out and we're talking about some of this goes where it goes. But I think it's an incredible reminder for everyone that we're all still human and we need to make these connections and that it can be a major benefit for our businesses. From where you're coming from your standpoint, what you offer and what you do, from what I do, right? From what they do. It's like, it's good to get these reminders once in a while that we have to remember there's always that other way. And like I said, sometimes it's take a step back to what you used to do and do it now because no one else is doing it. And it's good to be different. We're always looking
Yes.
for differentiation, right, in our business and everything else. And if it's as simple as like, hey, I'm real, let's get together for a coffee, like that's easy.
Yeah, exactly that. It's like, for sure, that's not what I was expecting for our conversation be, but that's the reality. That's the reality. Is just simple. When we're talking, and you as an entrepreneur, money is important, but touching bases with people is important. We can protect ourselves a lot using technology, but we don't have to. And when we have the opportunity, I can even be able to build better if I'm connecting with others. And that's the so important part of our lives is connect. Remember about that. For all the things that if you can get a really powerful key from this conversation, and we're not even close to done, but if you can get a powerful key for you is go back to connect with people, because people needs people. That's the most important interaction. That's why we need live in a community. That's why we need our life surrounding it. So do your business connecting with others, being truthful with yourself. I think that's the best part of everything that we have spoke up to now.
Yeah, absolutely. So one final point on that, and then we'll kind of get into the kind of more on what you do specifically, is think about referrals, okay? Everyone wants to be referred to someone, right? That's a great way to do business. Back to the human connection, okay? And I'll do a quick kind of summary of this. So there's three people involved, right? So it's me. I'm a contractor, call me a contractor. I have a customer I did work for, and they have a friend. My customer has a friend who wants my service. Okay, they want a new kitchen or they want coaching or whatever they want, right? Well, there's three of us. There's me, my customer, and then their friend. And I always ask people, whose name is at the greatest risk in that referral scenario? It's my customer. Okay, my customer is going to refer me to their friend. Okay, if I come and do work for their friend and I do a bad job, okay, yeah, they're not going to like me, but they're really going to be upset at their friend. Why did you send this clown to me? Right? He wrecked this. I mean, we're supposed to have dinner next week. Forget it. I'm out. Right? Like you and I'm never talking to you again. Like you have to understand whose name's at the greatest level of risk. And when you connect interpersonally, that's the know, like, and trust factor. So when you know a person, you're upping your chances of a good referral because they know you exist, they're real, you've had the deeper conversations, you've broke bread together, right? You've done these things that give them the confidence to refer you, way beyond just your competency in what you do. So I just wanted to throw that in there because it's just another level. You got to remember how it can be utilized for additional business gathering, you know, but also just making those connections.
Go back to exactly what you said, trust, and it goes back to the beginning. Everything is about relationship, it's about connecting, it's about understanding each other. When you do, like, your customer feels like you have a good care about it, when they trust you, they would refer you easily because they know that you will give your best. Even if you not do 100% the way that the friend wanted, you will have done your best to that solution, and that gives them peace of mind. And the customer have the peace of mind saying, I really refer someone that can be truthful enough to come and say, I cannot help you. Something that we mentioned before, right? Not every connection will happen for sure. And maybe you get a referral and you can say to someone, it's not a good fit.
Exactly. Exactly. So let's get into what specifically you do. Let's share that at whatever level you want to share that with, but let's kind of get into that. So we've had this great conversation. I think people I don't even think know what Priscila actually does. Let's get into that.
So I work with wealth advisory, financial advisory, helping people to truly not pass through the beginning of the conversation, through the like losing money and being educated about it through a process. So thinking about your retirement, about your financial wealth, your legacy, what matters to you, so we can make your money work for you. I think that's the best way that I can summarize going through the process, using a process where together I'm going to educate, create the right analysis of what is important to you, and create the right strategy so you can do the best part of life. It's enjoy your financial freedom. And what that means, it truly means what's the best for you, Richard, for who is here, listen to the podcast, is to look back and say, okay, I am being able to have my money work for me and using that as a tool to enjoy life.
Yeah, I love that. I think I talk a lot about Parkinson's law, which is if your money doesn't have a plan, somewhere to go, when you receive it, it'll evaporate. It'll just be gone. So something like what you do when you get wealth strategy, you have a plan and a process, okay? Your money has a place to go and it has a thing to do, right? You kind of got that extra, like, here's where it goes and then here's what it's going to do because you created this process to create an outcome at the end, right? So I think that's really important for people to take away because too often, and I use the example, if I walked up to someone, I walk up to you, Priscila, hey, Priscila, you were so good on my show. Here's $100. Just hand you $100 and thanks so much. Well, I come back in 3 days and go, you saw that 100? What 100? Oh, no, let me think. Oh, I guess me and the girls went out. We had lunch and I did it. I don't know where it is, right? It was just $100. It didn't do anything for you except some momentary pleasure right at lunch or something. So instead of going, oh, $100, hey, I'm going to put that in my investment portfolio. And like you had a place to put it and you walked over and you put it in the investment jar, so to speak, right? Now it has a plan. Now that money can grow. It can go do work. It's just not going to, just be that casual thing where it truly evaporates, right? Does that kind of make sense?
Make fully sense. And again, it's not that you cannot enjoy lunch with your girlfriends, for example, but
Right.
you need to understand that what's that, like, I have to have a clear goal. When you help to your friends, I need to understand what that means. Okay, if I get this $100, what I'm going to do with it? Okay, this one is going to be a gift for myself. Can I do that? Yes, for sure. No, I want to build my retirement goal. So that 100 is going to go for my retirement. So I need to have this clear path. And you said to the point, Richard, is a lot of times we get our paychecks, we get a gift, doesn't matter. But because we don't know, it's super easy to vanish. And vanish, you even mentioned like a dinner with friends and you enjoy it. But sometimes we don't even realize that. Maybe it's just in gas, maybe it's just in a bill, maybe it's just in a coffee, and goes even quicker. And then you're like, where my money went? So money, it's something that we cannot ignore. You mentioned that a couple times, and that's the truth. We need to be attentive to it because it's easy to lose track. And when we realize what I don't want to be is too late.
Right. And you bring up a good point because I work a lot with businesses and one of the first few things we do is we cut costs. I look at every line item. Okay. And I'll find $50,000 in costs that we can cut. Just that they haven't been paying attention. They think they need it and they've had it, right? We've all got those subscriptions or gym memberships we never use. Right. But we're going to use them and we're spending, $50, $10, $100 a month on that. And all of a sudden you find $50,000 in costs. Okay. That's really great, right? That sounds awesome. Well, what are you going to do with that $50,000? That's the next question, right? Like, no, okay, I found it. It's just like me giving you the $100. I just gave you $50,000. What are you going to do with it? Right. So we got to have the plan. Right, we have to have the go-to because the beautiful thing, and this is why I like talking with you, Priscila, because what we do, we're uncovering hidden profits in businesses, right? So I'm finding this money they've been leaving on the table, and that's all good. It sounds great. Oh, I doubled your profits. I tripled your actual net profit. But you got to go next step. What are you going to do with it? Because if it's just sitting there, that's a whole lot of dinners and good times and vacations. You're not going to turn it into an asset. You need to take that money and turn it into an asset. So this is my point. Like, I want to expose people to places to go with that. Who can they talk to? Who can they educate themselves with? Because we're uncovering this wonderful money, but we need it to work. We need it to go to work. We need to take my money and send it to work. Okay, that's where it's got. Can't sit around the house. It's got to go to work.
Yeah, because you will work enough, but now you have an extra 50 that you can make your money work for you. So you're having another way without needing your time or as much of your time to make that even become a bigger profit. And you mentioned something that is really the right way, Richard, is that a ton of times we cut out the budget or we even increase our profit, we double, triple. Because we are not paying attention, we just double our cost quickly. It's dinners, it's time, we don't know. And that all the profit that we are making, I have seen, unfortunately, a lot of people that comes to me and say, but Pri, I'm doing 3 times more than I was doing prior. Why? It's not money left. Why I can't save for my retirement? And I was like, because you're not looking deeply to something. And I know it's painful. And I'm pretty sure your clients mention the same. It's painful to go and look item by item and realize I'm wasting money with things that are not even related. It's not even helping my business. It's not even helping my life.
Yeah.
It's something that I don't even agree. And I'm like paying a subscription.
Right.
I'm putting the money aside. So
Yeah,
those things are super important.
They are, and I always use the gym model. Okay. I mean, people don't realize that in a gym, if you're a member of any gym, I don't care if it's the YMCA or a local CrossFit or whatever it is, 80% of all the members never use the gym. And I have a YMCA right next to me. They have 5,000 members at this gym. Okay. They have like 25 parking spots out front. Okay. 5,000 members. Okay. Like, cause they know 80% of the people are never coming, or it'll be a random, except in January. They'll be there for a week or two and then stop going again. Right. So we get that. But the whole point, like you're saying, and I like what you mentioned about, we increased their profits, but then they increase their costs. You know why? Because their level of discernment drops because they feel comfortable. Oh, I can get that. Not a big deal. I get the money for that. If they didn't have the money, now they're bootstrapped and now they have a whole higher level of discernment. They're saying no to things that, they'd like to have, but they don't need. They're saying no to the wants, and saying yes to only the needs. And that, when we get to that point in the business and you're seeing this money, we have to drive that philosophy home. You need to maintain your discernment. Okay, I can uncover all this profit, but if you don't maintain your discernment on what to do with it, again, back to why it has to have a plan. And it's best, I'm telling you, to move it out, put it in something where it's going to grow, work, multiply, compound, and do that. Because, and I have a saying I use my kids as they grew up. I tell them to do something, they'd be upset about it. I tell you can thank me later. Okay? Because later they're going to realize that was the right thing to do. And I tell my clients the same thing. You can thank me later. Okay, but for right now, we're going to do this. And then you'll see the fruit from that, because the whole goal is to get your money making more money, right? That when you get into, eventually you can move into the full investment status, and that's all you do. Instead, now you're the one investing in businesses instead of running them, right? We want to get to that point, maybe. Maybe that's something you want to do, maybe not. But it's the purpose, right? It's really having purpose for this money and where it's going to go.
Yeah, I think you mentioned something like when you start having your money work for you and you don't need to work anymore. It's a difference between right now you have to work and hard versus the option to, and that's something that our goal for the clients is you have the choice to work. You can keep working, keep having your own business, buying other businesses and only being an investor, but is that there is a difference between you have to, because if no, I don't pay my bills, and I got myself in trouble because I bought a house 3 times bigger than I needed, versus everything is working properly. My money works for myself, and I'm deciding to work because I enjoy. And that, when we move our emotions about that, is a different way to wake up in the morning. Completely
I think
different.
a great thing I learned from another wealth strategist, he had told me years ago, he said, the goal is to be able to make a decision on whether to do or not do something, regardless of money.
Mhm.
Money's not in the equation. I want to go to Rome for 2 weeks. I either want to go to Rome or who wants to go to Rome? What do I want to go there for? I have no interest in going to Rome. It's not whether I can afford it or not. I didn't go check the bank account to see if I can plan a trip to go see my son in Europe, right? It's like I can go or not go. Like that's a level that you want to operate at. That's what you're talking about. That making money, you've got that stuff. You're living at a comfortable means, but not a, extravagant where you're using everything that's coming in, right? So it's that quality of life kind of thing. And I always thought that's like a real good barometer of where you're at with your investments and your increase in your gains, right? Can I make decisions based on whether I want to or not want to? And that's it.
Yep. Exactly that. You mentioned traveling, but for example, even a restaurant, making the decision I need to eat, and we all need, and then I can have the decision I want to have where. I can choose where I want to go. What I want to have versus I need to go to that place in the happy hour, special deals,
Right.
house
Right.
wine, because if
Yeah.
not, I can't. And that's like, that's what we are mentioning here is the decision about my money can work for myself, and I can make the decision because of my principles and values, my goals, my family, what matters for me the most, versus I need to accept maybe a contract, maybe working with a prospect that I wouldn't like to, having to work 80 hours a week because I have to, when I'm not going towards understanding to build my wealth, because it's much more. When we talk about wealth, it's much more than just money. Money is part of it.
Right.
But wealth is
Yep.
making the right decisions for all those pieces and being able to enjoy.
Yeah. So well said, Priscilla. Awesome. That's going to be the high note we're going to wrap this up with. Okay. Cause I think that freedom, that wealth, that ability to make those decisions, all those points are like, that's what this is all about. And that's what you help people do. You're here to help them do that kind of stuff. So how can they get in touch with you, follow you? What's kind of the process? What do you got for the audience so they can continue maybe work with you and increase their situations?
They can contact me through my website, pricosentino.com. Pretty simple, pricosentino.com. You can find me on social media, same way, Pricosentino. You can contact our office at 888-593-9475. You can just book a chat with me over my website. It's super simple. You can book directly a 15 minutes call or a 1 hour call, and I will be able to understand what you're looking for and how I can truly help you, or even if it's the right fit. And that's what the first steps that you're needing. So it's going to be a pleasure to see you all, but the website can really give you the direction, understand more about all the projects and how we help people transform their financial freedom.
That's awesome. Yeah. So it really, if you're at that point where you're just thinking about it and just starting, that's the key. Take that next step. Go to Priscilla's website, start to educate yourself, get a call, a 15-minute call, do a little discovery, find out where you're at, how they can help. If you don't take those steps, you're going to sit there and your money's going to continue to evaporate. It's going to keep going to places you don't want it to go, and you won't even know where that is. So with that all being said, Priscilla, thank you so much for giving us time today. It's been a really great, fun conversation. Like I said, probably not where we all thought it might have gone, but I think it was great. I think it was something people needed to hear. I had a really good time. Thank you for playing along and going with us, but really delivering some great stuff for the audience. And until next time, everybody, we'll see you again on the STS podcast. And don't forget, revenue feeds the ego, profit feeds the family. So if you want to see how I can show you at least $100,000 in hidden annual profits in less than 3 minutes, and not only show you where, But how to create that 100K in 6 months or less without additional advertising or marketing spend? Guaranteed? Just go to sharpenthespiritcoaching.com. See how truly simple it is. That's sharpenthespiritcoaching.com. Do it now.